Hello, welcome to another talk on money, business, and investing. My name is Jose. I'm the founder of the company brand here at Master Investor. If you're new to our community, ensure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so that you know when we go live or upload a valuable talk like today's that can change our financial life forever. As long as we apply the information that we're learning. The key of building true wealth is found in the ability of reading financial statements, starting with our personal financial statement and improving it. And it takes financial education to do that. So let's talk about the 4 forces to build wealth. That's going to be the theme of today's talk. Check out the links in the description. We have digital courses. We have available 3 ebooks on our website. We're working to release the 4th ebook on the next month, approximately in the next 30 days. And make sure you go to our articles if you'd like to have the newsletters be sent to our inbox. Then just subscribe to our newsletter. It's free, and you'll have access to every single article that we publish. So when we don't have maybe the time to watch a live stream or listen to a podcast, but we at least can read the article that can improve our financial life forever, right? Because everything that we do here inside of our community at Master Investor is to build true wealth. Our mission is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity through high-quality financial education. Made simple, we look at opportunities to build passive income and true wealth. So this is a place and a space to growth financially. We're breaking down the ultra wealthy mindset. We're 100% authentic. We encourage all of our community members not to give our money away to anybody to invest it for us. If we're going to invest our money, we're going to be doing it ourselves, and we're going to be building those companies ourselves, and turning those companies into real brands require financial education, financial experience, and we need to have excess of passive income, excess of cash flow in order to call ourselves officially an inside investor. An inside investor receives passive income, has financial education and financial experience because we are actively investing. On the right side of the cash flow circle, that's where wealth is created. And we talk about the cash flow circle inside of our ebooks, how to build cash flow with the internet, turn passive income on. That ebook is, all of them are great. The 10 new rules of money and how to invest in crypto to build wealth. And the 4th, it's going to be called how to raise capital to build wealth. Everything that we do here is literally to improve our financial IQ so that we solve financial problems, and is duplicating the wealthy patterns and the wealthy context. There are 2 types of mindset when it comes to money: poor mindset and wealthy mindset. The middle class and poor class have the poor mindset, and the wealthy class has a wealthy mindset. And it starts with shifting our mindset in order to build wealth. How a person becomes from being an individual that lacks money all the time, or maybe has a job and is basically getting by every single month, just barely breaking by, right, with the expenses and so forth, and he or she doesn't seem to have additional income, but all the time has been taken away from the job or whatever activity they're given their time to make that income to pay for the living expenses that they have. And usually they either get more money through a job, and then they end up getting more liabilities, and they never look into the assets column. And that's the problem, okay, that people are having, is that they're not investing in the assets column. Whether you are female or a male, we have to focus on the assets column. Today, it's important that we all learn how to invest. That way we're not dependent on anybody and all the responsibilities that we have as adults and as people, right? Because you can be an adult and still be young, okay? So we have audiences from all ages in our community here, and we're glad to be able to touch different people's lives, right? And the matter that is helping them and their generations after them, because everything that we do here is to tap into our geniuses that we have, right? We all have a genius inside of us, and we need to bring that genius out, and that person needs to turn into a master investor, because since we're dealing with money the rest of our lives, guess what? Either you're going to be an average investor or we're going to turn into a master investor. Just like the two types of mindset, right, that exist. And we combine the middle class and the poor class because the cash flow pattern, as we learned on today's talk and inside of our content, if we have been here before, then we know that the ultra wealthy has a total different cash flow pattern than the middle class and the poor class, right? We focus on the assets column, and the poor and middle class focus on having a high paying job. So the more time they give and the higher their education they have, then the more money they will get paid. So they're focusing on getting a high paying job. And it's fine if a person loves their job and they're getting a lot of money for it and they do a great job at it. We need great employees, we need professionals, doctors, and so forth. But we're going to talk about how the doctor can become wealthy, not just rich. Rich is having a lot of money, but the person has no freedom, right? He or she has to show up to work to make that money. Whether the person wants to do it or not, but they have to show up to make that money. So how does a person that makes a lot of money at a job, has a good job, creates more time, and eventually can leave the job if he or she wants, because he or she has figured out a way to create income through investing by acquiring assets that produce cash flow. So the four forces to build wealth: master taxes, debt, inflation, and investing to build true wealth. Those are the four forces that we are facing on a daily basis. These forces can make the financial uneducated poor and a struggle in life. Use these forces to build passive income for free. And why for free? Because number one, information is free, right? Like this information that we're giving here at Master Investor. We do have organized information that is paid information. That's why information is key. Information in debt is key. Inflation is also key. When it comes to building wealth, these things are great for us. We have to turn that whole mindset around that people have, where they're talking about taxes and debt, inflation, and they complain about the economy. That means they lack financial education when I hear somebody talking about economy like that. Instead of talking about building their businesses, they're talking about how the economy is not good at this moment. But that makes no sense, because in fact, when the economy and people's eyes is doing bad, a wealthy entrepreneur and an inside investor, we have many opportunities and we can actually cash flow more than when the economy is good for the masses. We find a lot of opportunities because people are making mistakes, people are panicking, people are going based on others' opinions instead of facts. And the one that lacks financial education end up losing money, end up not having freedom. And the one that complains about the economy has zero financial education because they're speaking their own lingo when it comes to building wealth and thriving in life. That means that they haven't figured out the game of money. Because as we say here in our community, we are investing in 5 different asset classes that exist today. If there are more in the future, we will diversify among all the asset classes that exist. And as we conquer that, as we make sure that we are having success in each asset class, we will be able to hedge for inflation and protect ourselves from down economies, because the economy goes up and down. And we understand that as an inside investor. So we don't sit here and try to predict the market. People sit behind the computer for hours and they have a job to predict the market, and they give advice to other people, and usually it's advice that doesn't even make them money. Okay, so we have to be careful who we're listening to, and we have to be careful how we invest our time, because if it requires you to be in the computer all the time, then it's just a job, right? You want to have assets, we want to accumulate assets that are producing passive income without us having to work at all times. So it could be a business, it could be a gas station, it could be a real estate property, right? So there are 5 asset classes: business, real estate, crypto, paper assets, commodities. Those are the 5 asset classes that we should be looking into investing, and we need to focus on getting financial education for each. That's why inside our community we have financial education in each asset class. Okay, that's what we're doing here. And as we expand, we grow each category, each asset class, and the knowledge that we have, because everything is evolving so fast. We have to update it all the time, and we have to be okay with releasing what we learned last week or maybe a few years back or decades back and replacing it with the new. That's why we created the new Rules of Money ebook in the course, because it's going to equip us with what's working today and the new monetary system that was basically born out of the changes in the law. A very important year that we don't get tired to stress the fact that this happened, because when we grasp what happened then we can actually create true wealth, because we are on the correct understanding of how wealth is created today. Because a lot of people think that money is real money, and money today is fake money, is fiat money, is paper money, is an idea backed up by confidence. So what we have to do is acquire the new rules of money, play with those new rules of money regardless of how it used to be. So money today is created with debt. August 15, 1971, that's when President Nixon separated the gold standard from the US dollar. From that point forward, money became monopoly money, fiat money, an idea backed up by confidence. A currency. Money is debt. Money is created with debt. Debt is money. And today, that's why all debt is tax-free. That's why in our community we say we must understand how to manage debt to become wealthy. A lot of people manage debt to become poor. They invest in liabilities with that debt. Now we're going to have to invest in liabilities with debt, because those are luxuries or things that we enjoy about life. And so in our community, we just focus first on building the assets that will pay for those liabilities and their expense, which includes bad debt. So we're not going to shrink as we build in wealth. We're going to expand. We're going to live above our means. We're going to launch businesses. We're going to acquire assets. If we want a liability, then we first figure out an asset that will pay for that liability, so we don't have to ever pay for it. And it becomes free, because when the asset is producing cash flow and it brings all the capital that we initially invested, if we use any of our capital, because if we have a credit card and we have our capital, let's use the credit card instead of our capital to invest in that business. Before we kill our money into the business, we're going to use the money of the credit line that we have, which is tax-free. So use our credit cards to invest in assets that produce passive income, and who cares about the interest, as long as the cash flow and the revenue from the business will pay for the interest and will bring money back into our pockets as well, which is our positive cash flow. So every time we make a payment to the bank, we're making a payment to ourselves. So now if we're using fully credit or finance for this, for an investment in that, and we're creating passive income like that, even if it's $25, every time we make a payment to the bank, we have $25 left, let's say, that is infinite return on investment. That is money for nothing. That is free money, because we have no money of our own invested in the deal. That's the bank's money, and we use the credit as money as if it was our capital, and we used it as borrow money. We used it tax-free to invest into an asset. Could be anything. Could be a digital product that we created. It could be white label product. Anything that creates passive income, that creates sales that we can sell on autopilot with systems, something that is legal, that is solving a problem in the world. Or it could be a cryptocurrency. It could be something. At the end of the day, investments are businesses. We're investing in businesses ultimately. Every investment is a business underneath. So the more we know about business, the better we are going to be at investing. That's why we talk about business all the time. Summary: it is not how much money we make, but it is how much we keep investing for passive income. The key to being wealthy is not how much money we make, but rather how much we keep working. Okay, remember that, note that, because a lot of people talk about how much money they make, but when you look at their tax returns, they're paying the highest in taxes. So even if they make a lot of money, a lot of it went to the government. And so in reality, they make probably half of what they said they made. And we need to apply the new rules of money so that we can approach investing with the wealthy mindset. Instead of investing only in liabilities, now we know the concept between assets and liabilities. We understand how to read financial statements. Now we can use our capital that we have, including credit cards, that we have access to, any borrowed money, to invest for passive income. We can create money out of thin air, like the wealthy do, because we understand that today money is not real money. It's an idea backed up by confidence. And every business is built to raise capital from the front end, meaning we have sales funnels. We're selling something to the community, to the marketplace, and it's a solution that we're selling. It's a how-to. It's the product that is solving a problem of somebody's issue, right? And they're wanting that product. And we can also duplicate other people's successes. In other words, we can copy and improve. We don't have to steal. We can duplicate and improve whatever somebody else is doing. And we talk about the difference between stealing somebody's concept and actually improving it and making it better, okay, and making it unique, versus stealing somebody's concept. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to always improve, and we want to be able to learn from our mentors and learn from the people that already have done what we want to do. The way out of the rat race lies on the right side of the cash flow circle. We need to have the correct mindset about money and excellent financial intelligence to get wealthy. It is not only excess of money that makes us wealthy, but our financial knowledge and free time we have that determines how wealthy we are. The wealth formula is found by understanding how much time we have without working and running out of money to pay our living expenses and all other expenses we may acquire. Wealth is measured in time, not only in money. Divide all money we have now by our monthly expenses. The amount of time we can have without working or worrying about running out of money is our wealth number. First, we must learn about money and apply the simple concepts of the wealthy person. How money really works. The concept of having a big salary is generally positive. It is horrible for the wealthy people though. Low costs are generally seen as positive feature. Low expenses. Once again, it is an awful thing for the wealthy, having low expenses. That's why I said earlier, and we always say this. I believe we say it in every single live stream that we have throughout our content. We have to expand. We have to focus on living above our means, not below our means. So we have to expand our expenses column, and we have to reorganize our expenses column. We have to put investing and financial education as number one expense before anybody gets paid. That should be there all the time. So as we get any type of money in our hands and we have access to any money, we have to use it to invest in assets that produce cash flow that we control 100% from different asset classes. Okay, the 5 asset classes that exist, right? Pick one and we start investing in one, and as we make money in one, we move that capital into a new cash flow and asset, right? In a different asset class, and we repeat that process. That way we tap into the velocity of cash flow. And that's when we're creating money for nothing, literally, and we're printing money out of thin air. And we're recycling money back into our assets column. We're putting our income back in, our expenses going back into our assets column. And that's one of the main differences between the ultra wealthy and the average individual that has the poor mindset, either the middle class or the poor class, because those two types of classes have the poor mindset. They operate with the poor habits. They operate in regards to money, they operate with the poor mindset, and they have a lack of financial education. And that's why they struggle financially, and they can't figure out how to get out of the rat race until they start implementing the new rules of money and begin to understand how wealth is created and start speaking the lingo of the wealthy. How money really works. The concept of having big salary is generally a positive thing, like I mentioned. Money is just an idea backed up by confidence today. Once we master and grasp how the monetary systems worked today, then we have the chance to become truly wealthy. As getting wealthy takes understanding of how wealth is created by the ultra wealthy. There are patterns that we should have in us in order to build true wealth. Let's talk about the financial statements pattern of the wealthy. The ability to read and improve on our personal financial statements by investing in sound assets is the foundation of true wealth. This requires financial education, as we all need the data. We were not taught about money. One of the most important facts of this concept of money will become clear to us once we accept the notion that having high expenses and low income is advantageous. Many wealthy people many rich people become bankrupt because they fail to grasp this basic idea. Remember, the rich people, the middle class, people that have high paying jobs, those people can be rich, but they're not wealthy. There's a difference between rich and wealthy, right? Rich, someone that has money coming in, they have money through their job, they have a profession that they study, and they have degrees, and so that allows them to charge a lot for their time and their eyes, right? They charge more than the average person, so they become high-paying employees, and often they own their own job, and they launch their own small operation, but they have to show up there to make the money. So these people are working from the left side of the cash flow circle. So as they begin to get a lot of money through their jobs, they missed the most important point, that it's actually all about learning how to have low income. And we're going to explain that in a minute. And having high expenses, the actual functioning of money. The 97% and 3% rule will become clear to us as we study more about money. 3% of the world's income is earned by 97% of the population. How do we accomplish this? By setting up a situation where they have large expenses and little income. If we are unfamiliar with money and its operations, we may find this to be an odd statement. How can low income and high expenses make us wealthy is a question we may have. The way the wealthy entrepreneur and inside investor uses corporate and tax rules or tax law or the tax code to move those expenses back into the income column of our financial statement holds the key to the solution. We simply must convert the surplus of our businesses and investment into a good expense, meaning the positive cash flow should be invested back into our asset column by creating a business expense for the cash flow of our assets. As we can see the wealthy person's financial statement, we have it on screen. This graphic illustrates, for instance, the task that a knowledgeable investor works to complete. In this statement, the positive cash flow comes from passive income and capital gains income from assets that we control with our companies. And we can see that we increase our income column, but specifically through assets. Okay, we don't have a job. We're focusing on building assets in our asset column so that we can have more passive income and have excess of cash flow coming in so that we can have more ability to buy more things, have more buying power, and be able to manifest more things and accomplish maybe charity causes that we want to be part of, because charity and becoming more generous is an important characteristic that we should all adopt as we become wealthy, building our business empire. Middle class financial statement. The next diagram shows what the pattern of the middle class is when it comes to money. They have high paying jobs and sometimes they are their own boss. However, they still have to show up to work to make money, which puts them on the left side of the cash flow circle with the employees. The left side of the cash flow circle has the poor mindset. The right side of the cash flow circle has the wealthy mindset, cash flow pattern of the middle class. The person owns a job, they're a dentist, doctor, attorney, accountant, athlete, etc. They still have to work for money, earn income. They lack systems and financial education. So we can see they have liabilities, and the income comes in and it goes down to the liabilities column, up the expenses column, and out the expenses column to someone else's asset column. Okay, so every expense or every liability that they have is somebody else's assets column. Same thing in our financial statement. When we look at our own personal financial statement, our liabilities and our expenses, unless we apply the wealthy strategy that we talk about to make our expenses come back to our assets column. Okay, and it takes financial education to do that. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. But the most important point that we need to grasp is that it's all about increasing our assets column, focusing on building passive income so that we can increase our expenses, we can increase our liabilities, and we can always thrive to acquire anything that we wish, because we have the ability to acquire an asset that will pay for that. So we don't have to worry about paying it ourselves with exchanging time or selling time for money. We have an asset that will produce the income to acquire that, and we're going to use that income and whatever surplus that asset is going to leave us with to reinvest back into our asset column. And we're going to turn expenses into assets by learning how to turn liabilities into assets by applying different strategies that we have explained here in our content. And we continue to show you exactly how to do this so that we can all have the tools and resources that we need in order to build true wealth. It's all about sharing the great information that is out there. It's about learning from experience by actually doing the real thing, and then applying the generosity concept, becoming more generous, because we have to help out the world. We have to leave a mark, and there are things that we're passionate about that we should focus on helping in those sectors. Okay, poor class financial statement. The poor class has very similar patterns as to the middle class when it comes to how they earn income. The middle class and poor class both have low financial IQ, although there are those on the middle class that take their hard-earned income and start a business that turns into a real brand, and they become truly a wealthy entrepreneur, a real business owner, and an inside investor, shifting them to the right side of the cash flow circle instead of being a high-paying professional on the left side of the cash flow circle. Cash flow pattern of the poor class, we can see that they have a job, they earn the income, and usually the poor class has no liabilities because they have no credit and they have low income, so they can't really get liabilities on credit. So all they have are expenses and their living expenses that they have, and they have no money. So those expenses are somebody else's asset, and they literally also have no assets in their asset column. So the poor class and the middle class are very similar, identical, except that the middle class has liabilities. They have liabilities because they have more buying power, or they have credit because they have a high-paying job and they have more income coming in from their job. Two types of mindset when it comes to money. Number one, poor mindset. Employee and self-employed operate with the context of this mindset. Number two, wealthy mindset. Business owner and inside investor operates with this mindset. We will witness a world of ever-increasing financial prosperity once we start to make sense of what's going on in the diagrams regarding the cash flow patterns of the different economic classes. Our journey towards wealth starts with shifting our context with the wealthy one. We have to adapt the new rules of money and begin to operate like the ultra-wealthy do. We must duplicate the patterns of the wealthy class. There are three types of income to build: earned income, capital gains income, passive income, or also known as positive cash flow. Only two of the three incomes come from investing. The majority of people have only been taught to work and build earned income, which is the income that comes from a job in the left side of the cash flow circle. Earned income is taxed at the highest bracket, leaving no room for the employee and self-employed to avoid paying taxes. The type of income that we focus on will be the one that determines who we are as individuals. The 3% that makes 90% of the wealth. We focus on building passive income and capital gains income through sound investing. As we can see, the 3% that makes 90% of the wealth, that's what we do. We use our income to reinvest back into our assets column, and we continue to build assets and acquire assets that produce passive income, assets that we control in different asset classes. The financial statement of the poor mindset individual, as we can see below. Again, we have another diagram that shows the framework and how they treat money and how they have no assets. The 97% that makes the 3% of the wealth is found on the left side of the cash flow circle, right? Employees and self-employed and high-paying individuals as well. So it's not money that makes us wealthy, it's the freedom that we have and the ability that we can go through life without worrying about running out of money, because we have real assets that are producing passive income for us constantly. We're receiving that income, and that's how we thrive, and that's how we pay, and that's how we invest too, because we use that income to invest in different assets as we continue to expand our assets column. This represents the majority of people on the planet's financial diagram, right? They have no assets. Stated differently, funds enter the income column and exit the expenses column. It never reappears. For this reason, a lot of people attempt to make a budget in order to live within their means and below their means, which is the biggest mistake. Saving money, another huge mistake. It does not make a person wealthy to save money, unless you're saving that money to invest. It has to have a plan, but it has to be able to move quickly. You cannot save money for a long time. We have to move that money quickly. Practice as we think, and we should already have that money invested into something that is small and will bring cash flow back, and will duplicate that money, will triple that money, and so forth. So we gotta move money. We can't sit on money. We gotta make sure that money must move from asset to asset. That's why the most important words in the business language are cash flow. And so some of those people, also the poor mindset, they practice frugal living and reduce their expenses or spending, right? They lower their spending, which is the worst thing to do if we truly want to become wealthy. Because as an inside investor, our job is to spend more money. And where? In sound assets that we control, that create cash flow. For this reason, even though the money leaves the property and doesn't come back, at least not right away, the majority of individuals will still claim that their home is an asset. It also clarifies why some claim that even if they are losing money every month, the government still grants them a tax credit. They stated that instead of saying we are profitable from our investment, and the government gives us tax advantages to profit. They don't speak this lingo. They speak the employee and self-employed lingo, which is the poor mindset lingo. One of the most important controls we can have as an inside investor is found in this question. What percentage of the money going out our expense column wins out back in our income column in the same month? We will see a whole other world on one of ever increasing wealth rather than one of declining returns, that most people who work hard earn a lot of money and keep their expenses low never see, if we comprehend the other side of the coin that we're speaking from, which is the wealthy mindset, right? We're talking about abundance and seeing a world of too much money, because that two types of problem when it comes to money: lack of money and too much money. We want to have too much money, right? We want to have excess of cash flow coming in from assets, not from a job, from assets. Now, if you have a job that is giving you excess of money and income, right? You have money coming in because maybe a person is a doctor, like we're mentioning today, or a high athlete, or somebody that is a high-paying job, that has a high-paying job as a high-paying employee, and that person can turn that money into passive income. It depends on what the person does with the money. So it's all about the financial education behind that person. The person can actually become wealthy and get out of that job if he or she wishes, as they invest for passive income. But it requires literally a shift of mindset and understanding how wealth is created, how to read financial statements, and everything that we're talking inside of our community here at Master Investor. Ask ourselves the same thing now. In a given month, what proportion of our wealth moves from our expenses column to our income column? we too will discover a world of wealth that never stops growing, and we can figure out how this is accomplished. If we are unable to perceive this, speak with a trustworthy person about the possibility. Reviewing the other articles we have published previously is a good place to start. We will transition from a world of not enough money to one of too much money after we figure out the code and understanding how the wealthy invest. And nothing will ever be the same in our life again. The 4 forces that can make us wealthy. Our wealth can be stolen by 4 things if we don't have financial education: debt, inflation, taxes, and investing, right? Because think about it, if a person has no financial education, he pays high in taxes and savings, right? Savings hinders people's entrepreneur, have to pay taxes on savings, and can keep up with inflation. And the next thing we have also is inflation, right? So if a person lacks financial education, complains about inflation because he or she does not figure out how to make money work hard during high inflation, so that money can come back even faster, because inflation actually can allow a person to make more money, because inflation means that there's more money being printed and things will cost more. It will take more money to pay for the same things that will used to take less of the currency, or less of the money that we have available today, right? Which is fake money, is a currency. And in debt, which money is created with debt. So debt makes people poor or can make somebody wealthy. It depends on how we use it and how we understand how to use that debt. Majority of people who do not know how to actively invest their money, they end up giving their money away to financial gurus who puts their money in the worst investment vehicles that exist. Fake assets that withdraws money from the uneducated investor. These assets are those like 401k, IRA, ETFs, mutual funds, bonds, CDs, savings, etc. Because a financial uneducated investor loses so much money to those 4 forces. People who make a lot of money are not always wealthy. So the 4 forces are debt, inflation, taxes, and investing. Financial education will turn these forces into a tool for us to make wealth, right? Because during inflation, we make more wealth when we have financial education. And us, we use debt to create wealth, to make money out of thin air, to use other people's money is using debt. And that's one of the keys that we talk about in our community. To build wealth, we have to learn how to manage and control debt and how to be in good debt. That's how we can get wealthy for free, legally, and get everything for free in our lives. We can print money with debt. It's not our money. We can use that to invest in passive income. We can control and manage the debt. So we want to be in as much good debt as possible. And if we want to have bad debt, we can have bad debt because we have good debt that is obviously invested in assets. That's why it's called good debt, and it's producing passive income constantly that will take care of any bad debt that we have, that we ever wish to have. Doctors and other high-earning professionals pay some of the highest taxes in the U.S., lack cash flow generating investments to protect against inflation, have excess of bad debt loads, and aren't prepared for retirement. That is, they depend on their income, or they are poor if they don't go to work. For example, it is not implausible that 2 distinct individuals, each earning $100,000, may lead completely disparate financial lifestyles. One may become wealthy and the other poor. It all depends on how each handle the money earned. Here's an illustration. Out of the 2 individuals with the identical income of $100,000, one has a mortgage that is too large to pay off, pays 20% in taxes, and has a 401k that barely keeps up with inflation. The other holds rental properties that yield inflation-adjusted passive income, pays no taxes, and intends to use that revenue to buy other passive income investments. Who is the wealthier? Once again, it takes considerable financial intelligence to make a lot of money work in our favor when it comes to taxes, debt, inflation, and investing. The rich, high-earning employees, right, because they're rich because they have money coming in, but they're not wealthy, face a basic dilemma. They bear the brunt of the tax burden, have the least control over their retirement, and can only sell their time. And they have no control over the investing as well, because usually if they're investing in anything, they're investing in fake assets like 401k, like I mentioned earlier, and they have no control over those assets. Okay, all they have control is the money that they continue to give to those fake assets. And if they don't put any money into those fake assets, then the employer has no obligation to put any money in it. So the retirement plan has changed for the world, for the nation. And that changed in 1974. That's when ERISA was established by Congress. The ERISA Act, Employment Retirement Income Security Act, that basically obligated employees to invest in the fake assets if they want the employer to invest and match whatever they're putting into it. If they don't put any into their pension or into those fake assets, then the employer does not put any in it. So a person that does not put anything into their 401k, perhaps, the employer is not required to give them pension. So a lot of people don't even have the money to meet their bills at the end of the month. So they have no money to invest at the end of the month. So usually the person, and actually it's better that they have no ability to invest in those fake assets, because they're fake assets. Who wants to invest in fake assets? Things that take money away from us and don't put any money in our pocket? That's insane. We're investing to make money. We're here to bring up our cash flow. And cash flow means that we're getting passive income from assets that we control, and that passive income comes in whenever we're not working. It doesn't require us to work, because it's an investment that is working for us. Why the majority of physicians, attorneys, accountants, etc. The distinction between individuals who earn a lot of money and those who are extremely wealthy is explained by the cash flow circle. How to become a wealthy physician, attorney, accountant, etc. If this sounds like anyone and they are high-earning professional, like a doctor, the good news is that there is a way to be truly wealthy. Acquire proficiency in utilizing the right side of the cash flow circle. As we can see, the cash flow circle is presented on our screen. World population, 97%, is on the left side of the cash flow circle, which we find the employee who has a job and the self-employed who owns a job. And if they do not work, they do not get paid. This is earned income that is found on this side of the cash flow circle, on the left side of the cash flow circle, right? Also known as active income or ordinary income, trading one's time for money. And the world's wealth, 3% of it is found on the left side of the cash flow circle. On the right side of the cash flow circle, we have the business owner who owns and controls systems, and we have the inside investor who makes money work hard through sound investing, who multiplies money. And the 3% of the population is found over on this side. And 97% of the wealth is found on this side of the cash flow circle, on the right side of the cash flow circle. So we want to be part of the 3%. We want to get the information that is required for all of us to be part of this percentage of the 3%, because the rules are changed and we need to utilize everything that the ultra wealth are using so that we can increase our passive income, specifically passive income from assets that we are controlling. Increasing our financial intelligence and understanding how money works is something that many highly compensated professionals such as doctors and lawyers have made a point of doing. They either become extremely successful investors or go on to launch companies that hire other highly compensated experts. They have made the decision to leave the rat race, pay off their bad debt, and start using money and good debt to their advantage. We are able to follow suit. In addition to having control over their finances, businesses, and assets, those on the correct side of the cash flow circle might potentially reap endless rewards, since we understand how to generate income through passive investing. meaning that we are investing to build passive income, but we are actively investing. Okay, we are active investors. We have to move that money into a new asset. We're not giving our money to anybody to do it for us. We're going to do that ourselves. Furthermore, we understand how to take advantage of retirement, debt, inflation, taxes, and investing to get wealthier, not poorer. We can read our ebooks about cash flow, about the cash flow circle. Inside of how to build cash flow with the internet, turn passive income on, you'll find a chapter dedicated on the cash flow circle. Master Investors ebooks and courses for financial freedom are available today. To find out more about the cash flow circle and how to build wealth successfully, we require a high level of financial acumen in order to be on the correct side of the cash flow circle. This implies that we have to keep learning more about finance, change our perspective, read books, go to seminars, connect with like-minded people, and so on. Refuse to fall into the trap of focusing only on accumulating money from a high-paying job. Boost our financial acumen to reach true wealth. We have to think about how to solve other people's problems. The more generous we are, the wealthier we will become. It starts with serving others and their problems. Find a need in the world and fill it with the 8 integrities of a successful business. Number 1, mission. Number 2, team. Number 3, leadership. Number 4, cash flow. Number 5, communications. Number 6, systems. Number 7, legal. Number 8, product. We have created the cash flow triangle to keep in mind the 8 integrities of a successful business. As we can see on our screen, the cash flow triangle is presented. Make sure that we build our assets with this cash flow triangle, and when we invest into any asset, let's see if that asset has the 8 integrities of the cash flow triangle of a successful business. Why high-paying professionals are not wealthy. Physicians are often well-compensated professionals. In a year, they could earn $250,000 to $500,000 or even more. However, they aren't particularly wealthy. Why? To begin with, individuals must incur exorbitant bad debt in order to obtain their degree. Credible statistics highlight the severity of the situation for medical students. According to a summary of recent data, the average debt for medical school currently surpass $200,000. Despite the fact that most medical school graduates made 6 figures, almost half of them want to petition for student loan forgiveness. The mean or the bad debt from medical school is about $232,300. After medical school, the average student loan debt is $251,600. A medical school degree typically earns a salary of $210,980. $210,980. Repaying medical school debt typically takes 13 years. A doctor must dedicate 10 to 14 years to their education and residency program before they can even start making a significant salary. It is normal to begin a high-earning time in the mid-30s or perhaps 40s as they struggle year after year to make ends meet. Many doctors and professionals accrue credit card that gets put into liabilities only. So that credit card debt is bad debt in addition to other heavy school bad debt. They are therefore bankrupt as soon as they start making any money. Furthermore, doctors are rudely awakened to the amount of taxes they must pay, the number of hours they must work in order to earn their income, and how easily they might become entangled in the rat race, spending in line with their income and paying off their debt as little as possible. As a result, a large amount of money disappears as soon as it is received. Once more, having money isn't about how much money we make. It is about how much money we keep working hard for passive income. And for many doctors and all of those on the left side of the cash flow circle, that requires financial education, which they just lack. Make sure we invest in high quality financial education here at Master Investor. Let me know if you have any questions so far about today's talk, and use the 4 forces to become wealthy: debt, inflation, taxes, and investing. And when we understand how wealth is created, all of these are just forces to make us more wealthy. We're not going to be complaining about inflation. We're not going to be complaining about taxes, because the wealthy are benefiting from these forces that people are struggling. The same forces that people are struggling financially, the wealthy, we are benefiting from it because we have financial education. So let's just get the information and apply that, and make sure that we're actively investing, because that's the only way we're going to get financial experience. And in order to have success at investing, we need to understand the basics of business, and we need to actively invest to do this. We need to do the real thing. So we need to take the leap of faith at some point, and I encourage everyone in our community to continue to invest in financial education, to act on that education, to build an actionable plan of action every single day that we can take and we can look at, and we can say, okay, we're going to accomplish this next 10 task, whatever it may be, but it has to be aligned with our purpose. It has to be aligned with our goals financially, and we need to have investing in there. We need to actively be acquiring an asset, whether it's a crypto, whether it is a business, real estate property, paper assets, or commodities. We need to put our money into different assets, and we need to move our money. Remember, we need to make sure that we become good spenders. When it comes to building wealth, we have to push money into assets that are producing cash flow. And when we get money, we already had a plan for that money. So it goes back into the assets column, and it turns into good expense. And we have the strategy that we talked about earlier about having high expenses and low income. That's how we become wealthy, because of more expenses. So every single time we touch any money, we already have an expense created for that money. So it becomes an expense. Okay, so focus on building the expenses column with good expenses. And that's a great point to take from today's talk, is to turn our expenses into good expenses, meaning that those expenses are designated towards the assets column. And they're going to produce passive income. They're going to create money for us from thin air, because we're using debt as well. We're using credit cards, and we're turning that into passive income. And when we have the ability to raise capital and use other people's money, we can create assets without any money of our own. So even when we have capital of our own, we have to become creative to use that capital to print more money, to approach different institutions, to raise capital against that own capital that we have. Okay, so learn how to print money legally like the wealthy takes financial education, and it requires us to actively invest. Thank you for having me today on this amazing talk. I will talk to you on the next talk here at Master Investor, bringing you the good and bad news of money, the business principles that work in all economies. Today's topic was on the 4 forces to build wealth: master taxes, debt, inflation, and investing to build true wealth. Instead of becoming poor due to these forces, we are becoming wealthier because we have financial education. Stay extraordinary and wealthy. Bye for now.